with no further ado, the very first topic, peak Jokic versus peak Steph. Marz, it's on you first. Your time starts whenever you do, my friend.
I think the conversation has to begin offensively between both of these guys. I think that's pretty obvious. I think Jokic is probably the only player who has no weaknesses on offense. Now, I know some people are going to be thinking that I'm nitpicking because bigs and guards aren't asked to do the same thing. And I'm inclined to agree. But then I would ask you, how come Jokic, as a pick and roll ball handler, is producing 1.13 points per possession, which is more points per possession than Steph Curry was in 2016. And that's the peak that Pyro is going to be arguing for. So if guards and smalls not doing things like offensive rebounds and post up and screen isn't called a weakness, then what do we do when we have a 6'11", 280-pound big who's running pick and rolls more effectively than the point guard that Pirate is going to be debating for? What do we do when a 6'11", 280-pound big is a better decision maker and passer than the point guard that Pirate is going to be debating for? Jokic can do things that people his size shouldn't be able to do while doing the things that people his size should be able to do better than anyone does them. He's an elite post player at 1.18 points per possession. He's an elite offensive rebounder. He's an elite screener. He shot 58% on 2-point jump shots over the last 3 years. He's elite in the restricted area at 72%. That's only behind Giannis and AD. He's elite in the paint outside the restricted area, showcasing some of the best touch we've ever seen. He's at 66% in that area, which is number one in the league. He does this while shooting 38% on wide open threes and 36% on catch and shoot threes. We've never seen a player with no flaws offensively. Whatever you ask him to do on offense, he can do it at an elite level. That hasn't been true for any player you want to think of, whether that's Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, Steph Curry, LeBron James, whoever you want. None of them were flawless like Jokic is.
All right, Pirate, it's on you. Marz just kicked it off. You got a chance. Round one. Hold on, right quick, Pirate, right quick. All right, your time starts when you do.
All right, well, yeah, we're definitely talking about two great players for sure. I think you just got to tip your cap to Steph, considering the supreme impact, the way he was able to absolutely revolutionize the game and really become the prototype of his position. He's got the great handles along with efficiency from everywhere on the floor. The ability to bomb it from literally anywhere is a combination of skills that other guards have touched on, but no one has put together quite like Steph. And the impact is clear. The unheard of efficiency and volume from a guard, the complete skewing of the defense, the gravity, the positive effect he has on every teammate on the floor, leading to multiple 67-plus win seasons with a variety of rosters, 73 wins, multiple championships, tremendous positive effect on every player he plays with, highlighted by leading offenses at the top of virtually every category, including in terms of layups and dunks, despite not having exceptional inside presence, mainly due to his gravity. You're talking about the only guard on the all-time list for effective field goal percentage, the highest scorer on the EFT list, the only unanimous MVP, winning rings with Harrison Barnes or KD or Wiggins, winning 140 regular season games with rosters that nobody would consider all-time without Steph. So I think the impact on the team is just far greater.
Marz, it is back on you for round two. Your time starts when you do.
As we all know, 2016 Steph is rightfully regarded as one of the best offensive regular seasons we've ever seen. He led the league in scoring volume at 31 points per 75. The next closest was Kevin Durant at 29. He also led the league in scoring efficiency at plus 12.8 relative true shooting. The second in the league again was Kevin Durant at plus 9.2. I don't need to explain how number one and number two in both those categories teaming up was crazy. We all understand that. But what I don't understand is how over the last 3 years, Jokic is at 27.7 points per 75 on plus 9.7 relative true shooting, and that's just been ignored. The only players to ever put up 25 on plus 9.5 relative true shooting over a 3-year stretch are Jokic, Curry, KD, LeBron, Kareem, and Charles Barkley. That scoring also travels to the playoffs for Jokic, where he's 28 points per 75 on plus 7. The only players to put up 28 on plus 7 over a 3-year stretch with at least a large sample of games, 35 games in the playoffs, are Jokic, Curry, KD, and LeBron. Now, you tell me, of all of those players that were on both of those lists, why is only one of them left out of all-time great scoring conversations? I don't get it, but maybe you can explain it to me. Now, also tell me, of all of those players that were on both lists, how many of them are also all-time great passers? Because I can tell you, the only ones who can say that are Jokic and LeBron James. Nikola Jokic is doing things at an unseen level before offensively and he's so good at other things that we ignore how great of a scorer he has been. Steph's biggest claim to this conversation is how good of a scorer and shooter he has been. Jokic is putting up numbers similar to Steph as a scorer while eclipsing him as a playmaker and passer.
All right. That was fire, Marz. Pirate, you're shaking your head like you don't agree with something. So let's hear what you don't agree with.
I'm just disappointed because Marz is flatly lying to the people. He's being disingenuous, and he absolutely knows it. Marz over here is the king of the air attacks formula, and yet he's refusing to use the air attacks formula here, and you know exactly why. It's because Marz is fully aware that the last 8 years in the NBA have been the 8 most efficient years in the history of the league. So to simply rattle off Joker's efficiency without context is a total con, and he knows it, because Marz also knows that Steph, relative to the league, has reached efficiency far greater than Joker, in excess of 125 plus, which is far higher than anything Joker has done. Marz also knows that a point guard shooting higher volumes at higher efficiency is exponentially more production than a center at lower efficiency. He knows all of that is true. He has hidden it on purpose, and if he is honest, he would admit it. Real efficiency is being the only guard and the highest scorer on the top 20 all-time EFG list. That's real efficiency. Real efficiency is sinking 400 threes at over 45%, most off the dribble, scoring 30 plus a game, 45% on pull-ups, 35% in the paint from a guard. That's real efficiency. Steph changed the game. He made the impossible possible. He is hands down the greatest shooter of all time.
Okay. Hey, y'all cooking now. Y'all cooking. Marz, round 3. Let's see it. Let's hear it. Let's do it.
I didn't want to do Pyro like this because he just lied to you. I did use relative to error. That's why I said relative true shooting. When I said Steph was plus 12.8, that was relative to the league average. That's what relative true shooting is. When I said points per 75, that was adjusted for inflation. That's what scoring volume is. It's inflation adjusted points. I used relative to error. The issue is even relative to error, Jokic's numbers stack up. So he lied to you guys and you guys fell for it. Every stat I've used has been relative to the time. That's why I said relative true shooting. But back to the point I wanted to say, Jokic is one of the most versatile offensive weapons we've ever seen. He's maybe the most efficient post player we've ever seen. He's constantly moving without the ball. He's traveling 1.27 miles per game on offense. For context, Steph Curry was traveling 1.33 miles per game on offense in 2016, and he's one of the best off-ball movers of all time, and rightfully so. But these aren't wasted movements by Jokic. He's sprinting into DHOs. He's flashing to the middle of the floor. He's setting hard picks. He's sealing. He's getting deep post steals. He's moving all over the court at 6'11", 280 pounds to make sure his team can constantly create advantages. He's one of the best passers we've ever seen, who leads the league in touches every single year, but we've never seen a player who's able to dominate offense without dominating the ball. That's the difference about Nikola Jokic. He does everything on offense, but his time of possession is only 4.5 minutes. Even Steph Curry was approaching 6 minutes in time of possession, and he's one of the least ball dominant superstars we've ever seen. Jokic is doing things that no one has ever done. He has an impact on everything on offense without dominating the ball, and he's more efficient than anyone who's possibly ever done it. Jokic is the better peak.
Woo! Pirate, talk to us.
Joker is a great player. They're both great players. He's put up great numbers, and he's led teams. He's great, but all those numbers have not had the same impact on creating great teamwork or team success. Joker has never won 60 games. He's only won a few more playoff games than he's lost. Joker takes on a lot of responsibility, and bless him for it. He's a great passer, real good scorer. But Marz he's skewing the numbers because Joker gets between 100 and 120 touches a game, where Steph is getting 70 to 80. All right, the ball runs through Joker. So frankly, he had better get huge numbers just to simply keep them competitive. And he does. But as far as team production, it has not led to the all-time team production which Steph's impact has. That's just a fact. Steph revolutionized his position and dominated in an era that many would say is the golden age of his position. Now, Joker, he's a great player, but many people would point to him and say that he's played in an era that's fairly weak for his position. And I think there are fair questions as to exactly what extent Joker gets the benefit of being in the right place, right time, where Steph's skill set is prototypical for a point guard. I would argue he's clearly timeless. His game transfers better, and the record shows that he's just had a far greater impact on the game of basketball.
Okay. Now we need to see who had a far greater impact on swaying the fans with their argument, the stats, the case behind the stats, and their aura as well. You see, it's a minute and 30 seconds right now. You guys get over to the polls and go vote. Exercise your vote. All right. We're moving on to the next round, or the next topic, if you will. And that is Larry Bird with athleticism versus Magic Johnson with elite three-point shooting. Marz, you went first last round. So, Pirate, it is on you to kick it off this round. Your time starts when you do, my friend.
All righty. All right. So, both of these mythical players would probably be the GOAT. And no hypothetical numbers can verify anything in any way. But let's be crystal clear. There is no question elite three-point shooting aids Magic Johnson much more than athleticism aids Larry Bird. So remember the premise. We're talking Magic with elite three-point shooting. How beautiful would it be to see Steph's long balls coming out of Magic? Half court, full court, come on. It's obviously the best player ever. Magic already had a better transition game than Bruce Jenner without long balls. And that was with him just looking at the hole. Just imagine if how different history would be if in critical situations Magic was able to stop himself and pull all the way out. How different would history be then? Now let's look at the half court. Magic was already one of the most efficient guards in history. He knew his way around the post better than anyone, could score on anyone, and that was when he was just touching you up down low. But now you've got Magic draining his long balls all over you night after night. That is deadly. There is no defense for that. You'd have to lock him up in the closet and never let him come out. If Magic ever did come out of the closet, say bye-bye, he'd be so dangerous that the NBA would have to be testing him daily to see what's in his blood.
That was a good round, Pirate. Marz, it's your turn to follow that up. Cat got your tongue?
The answer is Larry Bird, because of the implications it would have on Larry Bird's defense. Larry Bird was already a strong positive on defense during his prime years, and that was for every reason that wasn't athleticism. In my opinion, you need probably four main things to be an elite defender: effort, IQ, size, and athleticism. Larry Bird had 3 out of 4. He had an insanely high motor. He was consistently not giving up on plays. He was taking charges. He was chasing loose balls. He was boxing out. He was fighting for rebounds. And he also was very smart. He was extremely knowledgeable on rotations and where to be. He would often get in there early and blow up plays, or he would dig up ball handlers and post plays and force turnovers. He was an excellent helper at the nail and in gaps, and he was even willing to try and slide over and provide rim protection. But that is where I believe you would see where the biggest discrepancy would be if he was an elite athlete. Although his 6'9" frame did help him in rim protection, could you imagine if he was actually able to contest vertically more so than just trying to target the ball down low? Imagine Giannis Antetokounmpo and Kyle Anderson sliding over from the weak side. Even if both of them are on time, one of them is just going to get a better contest because they are more vertically explosive. So I think if Bird was able to defend vertically alongside the processing speed he had on defense, that would elevate his already pretty good defense. He made 3 all defensive teams, which I think were mostly warranted. And then put that on top of the fact that on the perimeter is where he would see the biggest upgrade. His biggest flaw defensively was his ability to stay in front of quick attackers. Now, if you give Larry Bird quick lateral movement and hip mobility, his ability to stay in front of guys, he elevates to a level defensively that maybe you haven't seen from many wings. With that level of IQ, motor, and athleticism, he might be in top tier defensive categories.
All right, Pirate, it's back to you. Round 2. Talk to us.
All right, yeah. I mean, once again, I've just got to remind everyone this is pure fantasy. There are no actual answers, but let's be real. No matter how athletic Bird gets, he's still just going to be athletic for a white guy. So we're not talking about Michael Jordan here. We're talking about Brent Barry. But Magic with a 3 ball? Now, hell, you were already terrified of Magic attacking the hole. You were already mortified at the idea of getting backdoored by Magic. Now you also have to worry about Magic spraying it in your face from all corners of the room. I mean, just stop and think for one moment about how dangerous it would really be if Magic could put it in the hole from anywhere. Nobody in NBA history can touch that Johnson. If Magic is allowed to take you down low and spray it in your face, you are a goner. There is no protection for that. You are completely unprotected. So on defense, there's really no answer. Magic will catch you with your pants down. He will blow you up, and he will punish your ass night after night after night. So don't get it twisted. Magic has seen every D imaginable. There's literally no D Magic doesn't welcome with open arms. Magic with a 3 is going to be thrilled to toy with any D you put in front of him, poking, prodding, until he turns you upside down, inside out, and shoves it down your throat until you choke. Magic the GOAT.
Marz, I don't know how you want to take that, but you got to take it some way. It's on you.
I spoke about defense, so I'm going to speak about offense. Larry Bird was as close to a flawless offensive player as you could find in the 80s, but if he did have one weakness, it was probably his lack of explosion and ability to finish without finesse around the rim. He was one of the most skilled scorers we've ever seen, but a lot of that was out of necessity. He was supremely skilled shooter, as everyone knows, 90% from the free throw line, 40% from three, all of those things. But one issue with Bird was he struggled to finish in traffic, and he was often resorting to these finesse finishes, flip shots around the basket, instead of being able to play through contact and finish above the rim. But if Larry Bird had a lightning first step and was able to finish above the rim, that just elevates his offensive game to another level. Larry Bird's pump fake was deadly because obviously he was the best shooter in the league at the time. His ability to get you with a pump fake and now get all the way downhill would add a whole nother dimension to his game. Before, when Larry Bird would pump fake, he'd have to take a mid-range pull-up, which was still deadly. But now if he's able to get all the way to the basket before help is able to arrive, that elevates his scoring much, much more than anything else ever could have. So one of his biggest weaknesses can now become one of his biggest strengths. And also, not only that, but when you think about Larry Bird in transition, he was an excellent outlet passer and he was excellent at running lanes and spotting up for jump shots. If you add the third dimension of transition play from outlet passes like Jokic to shooting on the perimeter like Dirk Nowitzki, you now add filling lanes like Dr. J and Giannis, Larry Bird becomes the best offensive player we've ever seen. He can pass the ball just as well as anyone. He can shoot the ball just as well as anyone. And now he's finishing at the rim and playing in transition just as well as anyone. Larry Bird becomes the first flawless basketball player we've ever seen.
All right, Pirate, round 3. Talk to us.
All right, so to be clear, we're making Bird more athletic. He is not becoming any more skilled. Dribbling, passing, footwork, that's all the same. But we are talking about improving Magic's game exponentially. You thought Magic was sending dudes to the clinic before? Now Magic is sending dudes to the morgue. But what can you do? You have to consider how much more deadly Magic's penetration is now that he's got long balls. If you keep your distance, he's going to shoot it right between your eyes. But if you engage, now he's pounding the rim. He's either pounding the rim or the best assist guy ever, he's spreading it around to other guys. He's spreading it to this guy over here. He's giving it to that guy over there. Magic invites every guy to the party. He makes sure every man gets a taste. So every man is satisfied and goes hard for him night in, night out until it's finished. Make no mistake, every guy gets off when Magic's around. Magic's a true leader. He passionately loves the game, and he loves sharing his love with his guys. Magic injects all of his guys with positivity. It's pretty clear that his gaiety is absolutely infectious. So, to be clear, this is a completely imaginary question with no actual answers whatsoever. But I have to honestly ask you, chat, are you not entertained?
Chat, talk to us. Pirate, that was 3 rounds of speechlessness. Marz, you get to wrap things up. Nothing intended, no pun intended. Go ahead, do your thing.
I'm gonna just read some numbers because that's what I do. 3.1, 37.7%, 2.1, 33.7%, 2.3, 38.6%, 2.5, 34.5%, 3.1, 36.1%, 3.3, 35.8%, 2.4, 42.3%, that's Larry Bird, 3.0, 40%, 4.6, 36.7%, 6.1, 35.6%, 5.5, 36.6%, and 8.5, 29.6%. Now, I just spent 25 seconds reading a bunch of numbers. Those numbers are the league leaders in three-point attempts each year of Magic Johnson's career from 80 to 91. If we want to say Magic Johnson's going to shoot like Steph, 11 threes a game on 45% shooting, then yes, Magic Johnson has a chance. But if we're going to be honest about the realities of the 1980s, no players are shooting above 4 threes a game until Michael Adams and that Denver team is running a run and gun offense I've never seen before. None of the leaders in three-point volume were top 5 in percentage either, by the way. The only one who did that was Larry Bird, who did it twice. Shout out to Larry Bird. Three-point shooters just didn't make that much of an impact in the 80s. So it would be ridiculous for us to say Magic doubling his volume is going to make that much of a difference. Magic shooting 40% on 5 threes a game is great, but Magic giving you 6 points isn't going to make up the difference that Larry Bird is giving you on both sides of the basketball. He's exponentially better on defense, and he's exponentially better on offense. Magic will still be a bad defender. He still won't shoot a bunch of threes just because no one in the era did. All we've done now is say Magic Johnson shoots the three as well as Larry Bird already did. Larry Bird is the only one who was top 5 in volume and three-point percentage in any of those years. All we're doing is equalizing the shooting playing field.
Run the poll right now. We are tied up right now 1-1, but it's just because of the
It's good to see the world still has a sense of humor in these tragic times.
Remember, people, the live vote isn't the end-all, be-all, but right now with the live vote, Marz has won the first round, Pirates run the second round, or the first topic and the second topic. Now we move on to the third topic, which is a 2-on-2 player draft. These guys both chose 2 players. They had to draft to start a team with. So to build a team around these 2 players to win a championship for the next 2 seasons. Marz, it's on you to kick us off this round.
Wait, but Ron.
Yes.
There may be some bias in the chat because people may think that I have an unfair group of teammates, but we should make it clear that Marz chose this situation because we had a multi-day dispute over the previous topic. So I got it.
It is what it is at this point. You got your 2 players.
It is what
Marz got his 2 players. Hey, may the best debater win. Marz, you got a minute and 30 whenever you're ready.
I'm gonna just tell everyone, Pirate has Luka and Giannis, and I have Jason Tatum and Kevin Durant. But I think for a 2-year window, I believe 2 things are mandatory: versatility and health. I think it's obvious why those are important because for a 2-year window, you need to be comfortable with as many assortment of complementary pieces as possible. You don't want to be in a situation where you have some bad role players and you lose half your time because they don't fit with your stars. So I think Jason Tatum and KD may be the 2 most versatile players in the league right now. Both can initiate offense. Both have positional size at 6'10" and 7 feet. Both can switch across the board, and both have played time at the small ball 5. They can play a variety of coverages and roles on defense, whether that's being the big man defender in the pick and roll, whether that's providing nail help side rim protection, you name it, they can do it. They're both mobile and they have the length to make rotations on closeout. KD's 7 foot with a 7'5" wingspan. Jason Tatum 6'10" with a 6'11" wingspan. They both can provide rim protection and play up and down positions. KD allows a negative 7.4 defensive field goal percentage at the rim. That's elite. Jason Tatum's at negative 0.4 for himself too. They both can play off the ball. They're both shooting 43% on catch and shoots. KD shoots 56% wide open. They both average 1.5 points per possession on cuts. They can play on the ball. Both of them average 1.1 points per possession in pick and roll. They can both close defensive possessions as rebounders. Jason Tatum averages 7 defensive rebounds. KD averages 6. They both fit next to interior and stretch bigs. This means no matter the assortment of lineup I have around them, they are going to fit. I'm going to maximize the value they bring me no matter who I put around them. They can play in any sort of lineup. They give me scheme versatility, offensive versatility. They can play with and without the ball. There's no lineup where I don't get maximum value from either.
Got it. Marz coming out swinging, making a compelling case from the beginning. Pirate, it's round 1 for you. Tell us about the 2 players you chose.
I mean, that was a pretty good attempt to turn a turd into a meatloaf sandwich, but I mean, let's be real. Durant and Tatum are great players, but as far as building a championship roster in 2025, they don't hold a candle to Luka and Giannis. As far as 2 players in possession of so many diverse skills that reach such a height of production that are different enough to cover all bases while also playing off each other so well, Luka and Giannis are the perfect duo. Any numbers are just going to tell us what we already know. Luka and Giannis simply do more things better. If we just look at last year, Luka and Giannis, 66 points to 54, 21 rebounds to 15, 17 assists to 10. Luka and Giannis are more efficient on higher volume, and let's not even get into VORP. Luka and Giannis were second and third in VORP. Durant and Tatum were 10th and 14th. So what are we even talking about? On one hand, we've got a guard-forward combo that does more things better versus two lanky wings that honestly do a lot of the same things with a lot of redundancy. Luka and Giannis, two greats who do absolutely everything from different spots. You got the half-court king and the transition king. You got the Greek god dominating both ends in the paint. The Wonder Kid scoring, distributing from anywhere on the floor. Both of them getting rebounds. You got the perfect pick-and-roll combo. You got the perfect lob tandem. The talent production fit, it's A+. Better than not just Durant and Tatum, but virtually any tandem you could think of in an.
Sorry, Pirate, I gotta mute you because your time is up. Marz, it's on you, round 2. Talk to us about your guys.
The first round I spoke about versatility. The second round I'm going to speak about health. Obviously, when you only have 2 years, you don't want to lose one of them to a postseason injury. Thankfully, KD hasn't missed a postseason game in 5 years, and Jason Tatum never has. Giannis in the last 5 years has gone through a whole postseason without missing a game or being hurt once. That was the 21-22 season. In 1920 against Miami, he was out with an ankle injury, missed the closeout game, played only 11 minutes in the game prior, and got hurt in game 3. 60% of the series, Giannis was hurt. In 2021, he missed 2 games due to a hyperextended knee. The Bucks winning does not change the fact that in a 2-year window, I don't want to see my guy get hurt and potentially cost me a series. A player of Giannis's caliber, that's a cause for concern. In 2023, he missed 2 games out of a 5-game series and only played 11 minutes in the other. Another time where he missed 60% of his team's postseason. And then this year, he didn't play 1 second in the postseason. And also, I don't think a team can overcome a guy like Giannis being consistently unavailable. This also applies to Luka, who just this past postseason was affected by injuries that saw a decline in his play. Now, did he play terribly? No, but this was 1 year where his rim attempts decreased in the postseason, and his efficiency for the first time in his postseason career was negative relative to the opponent's defenses. Now, Luka played great, but do I think I can overcome a guy like Luka not playing up to his regular season standard and potentially not having Giannis at all? Maybe, but I'd rather not take that risk and have guys who I know are going to be available in the postseason, just like Kevin Durant and Jason Tatum have shown they can be for the last 5 years. I don't want to risk losing half of my time because Giannis is unavailable or because Luka is compromised. So I'm going to go with the healthier options.
All right, there you have it. Round 2, Pirate. Your time will start whenever you start.
All right. I mean, again, Durant and Tatum, great players. But it's funny. Marz brings up versatility with Luka and Giannis in 2025. You have 2 greater players with far more diverse abilities, able to not only play off each other much better, but also maximize whatever other 3 guys you were going to put on the floor with them much better. KD and Tatum, they're great, but let's be honest, there is a lot of redundancy there. In the grand scheme, they're very similar. They do a lot of the same things. Now, if you're going to have redundancy, a couple all-purpose wings, that's not the worst option. But if you're talking about optimum, if you think about it, Luka and Giannis allow literally any player in the league to step in and thrive. Any player, any combination of players. Jamal Murray or Alex Caruso, Brandon Ingram or Jaden McDaniels, DeAndre Ayton, literally any player can step on the floor and do their thing because these 2 are so good at so much. The world is simply their oyster, and any player you add instantly becomes a pearl. You don't need another ball handler guard, but it'll fit. You don't need another great scorer, but that'll fit. You can literally go in any direction. A couple of guards, a wing, a big, a couple wings. You have the ball handling. You have every skill virtually already covered, and so they're going to maximize any lineup you put them in.
Round 3 of topic 3, Marz. Let's hear it.
As we know, Luke is a heliocentric superstar with a time of possession routinely in the top 2 in the NBA. Most heliocentric systems are pretty stagnant off the ball and often rely on one guy to create the large portion of a team's advantages. Most of these advantages with Luka are created out of pick and roll, isolation, or post-ups. That's 35 possessions a game this year, by the way. Giannis does not fit seamlessly in these type of systems, as was outlined by his fit with Damian Lillard, who's historically one of the most ball-dominant pick and roll isolation-heavy guards ever. He was averaging 27.5 possessions of such his year in Portland. Giannis and Dame struggled to create synergy in a pick and roll because Giannis often set in screens to set up his own scoring, which means he would often avoid contact or slip those screens in favor of setting up his drive from the outside. This would in turn not free up his guard off those screens. And it's a big part of the reason why Dame, his best pick and roll synergy came with Brook Lopez. So although Luka is a better player than Dame, he does use the pick and roll similarly. And his need for a role man in pick and roll, as outlined by Daniel Gafford and Derek Lively in Dallas, a big reason why they get so many lobs. Giannis only rolls 1.9 times a game as a pick and roll player. That's very rare. So if he's not doing that for Luka, their synergy is a bit off. Giannis' reluctance to set hard screens and roll will obviously take away some of Luka's pick and roll wizardry and not maximize him. This also goes on defense, where Luka's defensive liabilities, let's say, don't maximize Giannis' power as a roamer. We've seen in the finals or in the playoffs where Luka's getting blown by. If Giannis doesn't have elite point of attack defense, his power of a roamer gets negated somewhat. So these guys don't complement each other perfectly, whereas Jason Tatum and KD don't run into any matchup problems or where they get in each other's way. These guys don't complement each other seamlessly.
Yeah, that accent cooking right now, boy. Hey, that accent hot right now. Pirate, you got your last round of the day. Let's hear it, my man.
Lillard ain't Luka, and Tatum couldn't even get on the floor in the Olympics because their games don't mesh perfectly. They're very similar players, and we can't ignore that the question is who is going to be in best position to win a ring in the next 2 years. So we can't ignore that KD's age has to be some kind of factor. It just has to. KD will be almost 37 next playoffs, and he's going to be almost 38 years old the playoffs after that. And he is a great player. I don't even need to go down the route that he'll be done or he'll be washed, but it would be insane not to acknowledge that if we're talking about a finals run 2 years from now, one of these names is obviously not like the others. While the other three should be in peak prime form, KD will clearly most likely be well on the other side of the hill. And again, the redundancy with KD and Tatum, it just means it's harder to build around. They simply have a lower floor and a lower ceiling than Luka and Giannis. You need more things. And you don't have as many options to fill in the gaps, where you can pretty easily slot Luka in anywhere from 1 to 3 and Giannis anywhere from 3 to 5. KD and Tatum are pretty much your 3 and 4. Another wing would doubtfully thrive in that lineup. You're going to need some guards. You're going to need a big. So, I mean, Luka and Giannis, they're just better players head to head. They're better players as a tandem. They're in their prime. It's obvious.
Run those polls right now. Y'all get over there. Make sure you go vote. This is the PCL on Player's Choice, the best debate league on the planet with some of the best debaters on the planet. And these are 2 of the better guys out of the 16 that are in the PCL. You're not going to get a better matchup than Marz and Pirate. Fellas, I appreciate you guys for coming up here and giving us this entertaining ass battle. Y'all really came and held it down.
Time for my nap.
And I think this belt, I might only have this for a couple more weeks because I think one of you guys is going to get this. Personally, I think.
Get your fingers off my
crazy.
belt, Ron.
You have people coming up next, Ron. You can't say that. Yeah, you're meant to be impartial.
Let me wipe this off, Pirate. My bad. All right. I will see you guys very soon. Pirate, it was good to see you, my friend.
It's good to see you, Ron. It was great to see Marz again. Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah.
You two guys don't think too much about Johnsons tonight. I'll see y'all later.
It's the player choice way. Yeah, them boys gon' get it started. The player choice way. Yeah, the player choice way. Come and switch lanes into the player choice way.